Hello everybody! Welcome to the first day of school. Today is officially September 8th, 2020, which is the first day of school. So, because today is our first day of school, we are going to be starting our first science lesson today. As you notice, you can see our whiteboard in the background with our dry erase markers, and look how nice it looks. Look how nice the whiteboard looks. And you can see that pen there on the table. I've added some more dry erase markers in here as well. I'll show you that in a second, but yeah, hope you like the science room. It looks great for the 2020-2021 school year, doesn't it? I've worked really hard on here this summer, and it looked a whole lot different than how it first looked when I first came in here for the first time to see it. But anyways, we're gonna move on to our science lesson today. We're not going to be doing any experiments, but we're going to be just talking about some of the procedures and some of the stuff we'll be doing in here. Number one, safety rules. A lot of people think, oh, well, think about the experiments though. We have a lot of safety precautions when it comes to the experiments. All right, and first off, a lot of our experiments that we do in here come out of our pop bottle science book. So we have to look in our book to see what experiments we want to do in this, and that way we can decide on whether we want to, for example, a mold garden experiment. Look at the directions. It tells you what you do for that experiment. Now, for as far as safety goes, there's a lot of things to keep in mind with those experiments. So for science experiments, we have our science stool, and we are doing our experiment on our science stool. For example, let's say we're doing maybe an experiment that can be very, very messy. We got to be careful because it might get the ceiling wet, and even the rug here, it might get the rug all wet. We want to avoid that. So some more precautions are try not to get anything wet. The floor over here might get wet and it might go out into the basement. That's okay. As long as it doesn't get heck on the ceiling and on the rug, we're good. Okay, moving on to our safety precautions. If we have any chemicals when we do our experiments, if any of them are flammable, combustible, we have to be really, really careful because we don't want anything to catch on fire and set off the fire alarm. That would not be good. So we have to, anytime we're doing our science experiments, we got to make sure that we're very careful with the types of chemicals that we may have. Most of the time our experiments in here, we usually go by the rules of the lab safety and stuff like that. And alright, and also, this is our pop bottle. We use our pop bottle when we are doing our science experiments. It even says in our science experiment book, our pop bottle science booklet, it even says in here, we need to have our pop bottle to do our science experiments. So, yeah, we're doing our science experiments. We need to have our pop bottle and, of course, our pop bottle science booklet, and that tells us what we need to do for our science experiments. We'll also be doing some experiments in here where we might have a ramp when we do that car thing. We'll try to roll the car down off the ramp. We might be doing that pretty soon, but I need to get some toy cars and maybe a ramp. And also, something else I want to mention, a lot of the science that we do in here has a lot to do with earth science, biology, and astronomy. We don't really do that much of IPS in here. We do mostly a lot of astronomy, earth science, and biology. We do a lot of those three things in science in here, along with some very interesting experiments that we always do on our science stool. We don't want to come over here to our table and do our science experiments. Number one, because the whiteboard's right here. We don't want to make a huge, gigantic mess on the whiteboard. That'll ruin the whiteboard. We don't want to come over here to the shop vac and do our science experiments, Because, you know, what's going to happen is, like, you know, like you're doing our experiment on the shop vac, and boom, the shop vac gets all wet. We don't want that. We just want to avoid the worst case scenarios. We don't want to be doing our experiments on the stool and then get the rug all wet. We want to avoid that. So make sure, do all of your experiments on the stool, but if they involve anything that gets wet, maybe push the stool back a little bit. Try to make it so it's not going to make the rug wet, because if that happens, that will not be good. Something else, we want to make sure that our pop bottle never falls to the ground. If that happens, it can break. What happened just now is a good example of that. We want to make sure that this never falls on the ground. We want to make sure it always stays on our science stool. And we got to be really careful when we move the science stool when this pop bottle is on there, so it doesn't break, because that can be a problem. Because we need this pop bottle to do our experiments along with our booklet. Okay? Once again, we got to make sure that we're really careful when we're using anything in here, any chemicals that we do with our experiments. If they're combustible, we got to be careful of that. Something else, do not eat anything in here, and do not drink any of the chemicals. A lot of people are dumb when they do that. They think, oh, I can drink these chemicals, I can do all that. No, that's not a smart choice. You don't drink the chemicals that you're using for your science experiment. That is stupid, that is dumb. Don't be that kind of person. You can even get sick, and it can even kill you. Don't let it go that far. So yeah, just please keep in mind also, when we do our biology, we're disinfecting animals and stuff. When we're using our knives, we never want to have the blade pointing towards ourselves, and we also don't want to be cutting our knife with our other hand right next to that. That's dangerous. You can cut your hand off. Got to be careful. So those are some pretty good safety precautions in here that we need to follow, because they are very important. Don't drink the chemicals. Don't eat anything in the science room. If you have to drink something, if you're really thirsty, we have to go upstairs and get a drink of water there. There is no drinks prohibited during our labs. Maybe if we're just doing a lesson, I can probably allow some water bottles in here, but otherwise, no food is allowed at all. I only allow water bottles only when we're maybe just talking about lessons. I'm not going to allow food or drinks when we're doing our labs, our experiments. That is something I will not allow during those times. So yeah, please keep those rules in mind. Take them very seriously. You can get really hurt if you purposely disobey these rules. So yeah, some people may have different rules, but I prefer, these are my rules. Again, please obey them. Alright? Once again, as you notice here, this is our pop bottle science booklet. 79 amazing experiments and science projects. So it's pretty interesting. And we're going to be using this book a lot in here during the school year for our science experiments. Okay? So, alright, moving on to something else now. Our dry erase board and our dry erase markers. We have all kinds of markers we can use to write on the whiteboard. As you know here, this is our pan. This is full of Expo dry erase markers. Not every single one is Expo, but quite a few of them are. As you can tell, just have a look inside here. These are all the markers that we use for our whiteboard. You look, see all these markers here. These are a lot of markers. See, look at all the markers. Okay, we use all these markers when we're doing our experiments. This is one of our erasers. We can use this when we want to erase the whiteboard. This is the eraser that we can use. And then up here, if you look here, these are some more dry erase markers. I'll give you a close-up look of them. Here they are. The colors come in black, purple, red, green, blue, and yellow. They are magnetic, and these also have little erasers at the top we can use. But I prefer to use the other eraser. There's a little screw up here we can hold the markers on, and they're right next to the whiteboard. And then on our table, on our science table, we even have a nice little drawer right here we can put stuff in. For example, maybe our pop bottle science booklet. We can put that in here and close it shut so we know where our booklet is. That's just an example of that. Alright, so yeah, I've gone over some of the rules and I've talked about some stuff. What do we do on the whiteboard? Usually I use the whiteboard to write things down on what we're doing today. For example, if we're doing a science experiment with maybe baking soda and vinegar, I write that down on my dry erase board. On the whiteboard, I write that down. We're doing baking soda and vinegar today. And it even says on here, welcome to Dale's science class. Today we will. And I'll write down whatever we're doing. I can use any color marker I want except yellow because it's hard to see. But yeah. And when we're all done doing our work in here, all of our science work, we have some nice balls in here that we can play with. There is a nice purple ball right here, and there's a small green spiky ball. Doesn't matter which one you use can use whatever ball you want. And you can try playing with them, maybe do volleyball if you want. You know, however you want to play. Same thing with this ball here. You can play with whatever ball you want to play with. It's your choice. Just make sure you play with these when you're done with your science work. But these are here for the playtime. And we also have 2 chairs in here. One of them I am using to hold the iPad while I'm recording this, and there's another chair right here. People can sit in the chairs whenever they're watching science experiments or when they just want to just sit in there when we're doing a lesson. We have these chairs in here for that. Again, this is our science rug. You can't really see it, but you can look right here. This is our science rug. This is a really comfortable rug. We can sit on this, especially when we're looking at science experiments. Again, this rug is extremely comfortable, so feel free to sit on the rug whenever you feel like you would like to do that. And of course, you can always sit in the chairs too. Alright, I'm going to talk about some more things. In the event that we have a fire drill, we have to, you might think that we go out the door for a fire drill. We do not go out this door, because we have a hatchway right here that we exit out of. Basically, if we're doing any science experiment or we're just talking about a lesson and there's a fire drill, the fire alarm goes off. What we do, obviously, we stop what we're doing and then we go to our hatchway, we open it up, and the hatchway's open, so we crawl out. And then the fire drill's over, we come back in, and I close up the hatchway. Alright, so now, in the event that we have a lockdown drill, what's going to happen is, of course, I'll shut off the light, I'll turn off the light, and during our lockdown, let me just show you so you can see. During a lockdown, we are going to be in this area right here. Right where I am standing is where we are for our lockdown drill. Again, we turn off the light, and we come right over here in our safe lockdown spot. We wait here until the lockdown drill is over. We just stay right here. Then when we hear the all clear message for the lockdown, that's when the lockdown drill is over. We can continue our lesson. So I just wanted to mention those 2 things, fire drill and the lockdown drill. Again, fire drill, we go out this hatchway, and we go down to the parking lot over there where the old swing set was. I take attendance. During a fire drill again, we do not go out the door. If you're going out this way for a fire drill, you're going the wrong way. If for some reason this hatchway was closed off, then obviously we would be going out this way. But since the hatchway is more of where we're going to have our access to, and the hatchways are closer exit out, we go out this way. And for our lockdown drill again, we are right over here, next to where my vacuum cleaners are. Alright, so just keep those rules in mind, take them very seriously. We practice them just in case real emergencies do happen. So yeah, hope you enjoyed me talking a little bit about the science room. I've gone over a lot of stuff in here. Again, hope you enjoyed the video. We're going to be doing lots of awesome experiments in here over the year. In fact, I have a lot of stuff planned, and my the pop bottle science booklet has a lot in it, and that'll be a big help. It'll pack a punch when we want to do a lot of science experiments in here. So again, since today's the first day of school, we're not doing anything today. Today is just welcome to the science room day. The teacher is going over everything day, safety precautions and stuff like that. So that's basically how today was, and I hope you enjoyed a little science room tour, showing you around. And one more thing I want to mention, I almost forgot. You see our rigid shop vac right here? We use this whenever we need to vacuum the science room. Whenever the science room gets dirty, we can use our rigid shop vac and we can vacuum the dirty floor and the rug and make it nice and clean. So yeah, just wanted to mention that. But otherwise, I have gone over everything I needed to go through in here with my science room. So hope you enjoyed this science video. Again, we have a lot of wonderful experiments that we're going to be doing in here. So please stay tuned for them. I know you're going to enjoy them. Maybe we can do our first science experiment of the 2020-2021 school year. Maybe we can do our first experiment for this year, maybe later on this week, or maybe next week. Whenever I get a chance, we can do our first experiment in here. But I just want you guys to stay tuned for some awesome science experiments that we have to come. We have a lot of them. Again, they have a lot to do with biology, astronomy, and earth science. We don't do that much of IPS in here. Maybe a little bit of IPS at times, but more likely it's going to be we learn about astronomy, earth science, and biology. We learn about a lot of those three things a lot more. I'm sorry I was holding up two fingers. We learn a lot more about those three things. Alright, so hope you enjoyed the video today, and be sure to have a good day. Once again, stay tuned for some good science experiments that we have in here. And remember, I'm your science teacher, Mr. Dale.